It's been about 5 years since ScHoolboy Q last dropped an album with Crash Talk in 2019, and even though that album wasn't really received as well as some of his other projects, I still return to it every so often to listen to a couple of songs here and there, primarily Num Num Juice. But he's back today with a new album titled Blue Lips, and as corny as it sounds, it feels like he is back in tip-top condition, and it's almost like he never even left. This album kind of feels like a continuation from Blank Face, and almost as if we're just supposed to forget that Crash Talk even happened and just, pick up from where we left off in terms of drive, hunger, and just overall song quality. This album is a good album for ScHoolboy Q at this point in his life because he's been through a lot of things over the past couple years, and this album was supposedly kind of hard for him to write because he put himself in more uncomfortable situations and just places in terms of writing to really force him to make different music, I suppose. And, this is not to say that this is always going to produce good music because, you can be in an uncomfortable place and make some garbage. But I feel like ScHoolboy Q did pretty well with what he had. And, for a rapper like ScHoolboy Q, who does have a lot of depth to him and generally does rap pretty well, I feel like it was important for him to kind of move out of like whatever zone he was in and kind of open himself up to just other things going on in his life, other things that he's dealt with. It's almost like he's back in love with the shit, as he says on the track, Back in Love. And that's an important thing to note because a lot of times, people just kind of grow out of certain things. They forget that they love something or they just grew out of loving this thing. But there's the other side of it where you're going through a lot of shit in terms of your mentals and you're just not in the mood where the things that used to make you happy or bring you joy are doing those things anymore for you. And, it's a weird thing to kind of get out of, like getting out of your head. So seeing that ScHoolboy Q has kind of pushed back out of that and is now again back in love with it is great to see. Throughout the first few listens of the project, one of the biggest takeaways for me is that TDE knows damn well how to put a project together. The production is crisp, which, assuming that Ali mixed and mastered it all, should be no surprise. There's solid and intentional beat switches, unlike we've seen on recent other projects where, they just kind of do a beat switch and have wild and out there production just to say they did it. We also do get a variety of sounds in terms of production as well as his deliveries and just energy. And he does it all without really feeling scatterbrained, which is also a really hard thing to do. The only real concern that I have with this project is really in terms of its longevity, because I don't know how well these 808s are going to age. Because even though it doesn't necessarily sound like it's from a particular era, I could see that aspect of it really just locking it down to an album from 2024. But, of course, I do need to listen to it in the car to really find out how I feel about it. Actually, you know what? Let's fucking go.
Get your hood mags, 2 kids, same baby mama, all black. Yeah, quiet down, hey, not a sound, hey, pick it down, hey, pick it down, hey. But I'm really on time, girl, what you put in your mind, I ain't digging your sign. Truth for that pussy ain't mine, hurt, but I made it out fine, still in my pride.
All right, well, that was fun. Going into the rest of the project, at least as far as my initial listens, is another thing of note is that there might not be a consistent topic or theme that runs throughout the entire project, but I think that's okay because the production and sequencing really do well to carry the project through. And honestly, not every project needs to be a conceptual album. You can have a general theme and idea to a project, but you don't need to beat your listener over the head with it. And even though I'm saying that there's really no consistent theme or nothing that I found yet, there is, like, everything fits well together. It's not like you're getting a playlist of songs, you know what I mean? Like, every song here has a reason to be here. Now, I've really only listened to the album a couple of times all the way through, and my thoughts and ideas regarding it are really a bit more limited, and I'll probably get back to you guys with a proper review and analysis of the project in the next week or so. With that said, though, another initial takeaway of mine is that this album has two really distinct energies to it. We have the more super high energy songs that really just have my head knocking like crazy, like on the tracks Thank God for Me, Urine 101, First, and Pig, as well as the more slower, groovy, and at times serious and emotional tracks like Blue Slides, Back in Love, Lost Times, and Germany 86. So there really is something for everyone on this sort of project, and fans of ScHoolboy Q, at least from what I've been seeing, have been loving this, and I don't blame them. I've enjoyed every listen I've put into it so far, and it's a really, really strong contender for album of the year this early on. Like again, we had to wait and see. We had to listen to it a handful more times, really get an idea. But yeah, this is a good one, and I'm so glad ScHoolboy Q is back. Allegedly, we're going to be getting a few more TDE projects throughout the year. I don't know how real that is because Absol was one of those people that was mentioned, and he just put out an album like 2 years ago. So, you know, that might be pushing it, but we'll just gotta wait and see. That's all I got for my initial thoughts on this project, though. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the album so far, if you've listened to it. If you haven't, I will admit it is a longer album, closing in on the hour-long mark with 18 tracks. So, you know, you kind of got to sit down and put your time into it, but I say it's pretty worth it. But yeah, while you're down there, also like and subscribe to see more rambling and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.